our partner Aeon's team looks forward to networking and connecting with all of you right here. Up next is going to be a very special session by them on developing managers while transforming business. And joining us now is Ms. Ishita Bandyopadhyay, Managing Director, Aeon's Assessment Solutions, India and Southeast Asia. Let's welcome her and let's look forward to all the learning together.
Thank you so much, Isha. And hello, everyone. And it's a great pleasure for me to have this discussion with all of you about developing managers while transforming business. Well, as L&D professionals, we always think there is so much for us to do. Given the times that we are in, there is so much for us to focus on, so many different segments in the talent to focus on at any point of time. When we looked at this in the given context and time, we thought, what is that one core area that organizations will definitely need to focus on as they move forward? So we looked at our data, we looked at the information that we had on hand, and we decided that there has to be a very specific intervention for a particular cadre of employees in the organization. So here you have the scene setting for us, where we looked at organizations who are coping with the digital changes, who are coping with the changes owing to COVID, and they are all trying to become digitally ready in the given environment. What we noticed over here based on the data and the research work that we did is what you see on the left-hand side. Most organizations, in fact, the L&D professionals of organizations are running around and trying to focus on the high potential talent, the key talent as they call it. However, there is this particular strand of talent segment, which is the first-time managers who seem to be missing the bus every time. And let me tell you why it is critical for organizations to focus on these people. Now, who is a first-time manager? The first-time manager is this individual contributor who has been a star performer, who has been absolutely amazing in delivering on their accountabilities when the accountability was their own. And all of a sudden, they have been elevated to become a manager. They are now entrusted with managing their own peers in some ways, in some cases. So there is a huge turmoil inside them also when they are trying to build that credibility. So for this discussion, we are going to refer to these first-time managers and what is the right way to develop them going forward so that they feel more ready for the role in this VUCA environment. I'm going to refer to them as first-line managers or first-time managers as and when required. You might also hear me refer to them as FTMs, which is for first-time managers. Now, for organizations, the changes can be broadly classified into two categories of external and internal. We all know that. And let's just quickly touch upon the external changes, which is around digitalization. A lot of the work that was earlier done manually are now transitioned through HRMS systems or some form of technology, where we are trying to take away all the non-value adding work and leaving all the human decision-making responsibilities with people. Well, that's exciting, right? Because you don't have to do the crunch work. That's what we think. Now, given the COVID situation, of course, there is the possibilities around remote working. I'm not saying challenges, I'm saying possibilities around remote working. Why? Because it blurs borders in some ways. Of course, there is the great resignation phenomenon that is happening all around us, where people are reclassifying their priorities and going for what really means the meaning for life for them. And in some cases, they are shifting jobs. In some cases, they are shifting industries, professions, etc. Now, internally, for an individual working in an organization, it means the reality of hybrid working sits in for them. So they have to cope with this change in a work environment. They cannot supervise people by walking up to them and asking them about what they have done. It has to be a different technique altogether. They also have to be open to working with people across diverse capabilities and skill sets, which means they have to let go of some of their unconscious bias. Like, if I think this is the best way to do the work, that is the only way to do the work. So managers have to let go of any sort of unconscious bias. And as managers, there is also the added responsibility of ensuring that there is resilience and well-being that is being maintained for their teams, because that is the key to sustainability. Keeping this in mind, what we definitely understand is for the first time managers, they are no longer just supervisors here. They are the change ambassadors and change enablers. So between the management and the front line, it is this cadre who is taking the responsibility of in translating the strategy into actual work on the ground. So they are becoming the enabler of change. They are responsible for people's careers. So imagine this individual who was responsible for their own task earlier are suddenly entrusted with the careers of people with whom they have worked before. It becomes quite overwhelming for the individual. Like I said, resilience and well-being is also something on the cards. And what a manager or a first-time manager, as we are talking about them, needs to understand is how do they flex their management style. Speaking about management style, traditionally, we have always felt that it's always easier to deploy a command and control when the environment is stable and predictable. But it's no longer a stable and predictable environment. It has to be a transformational style now. It's a VUCA environment. So these first-time managers who have had no prior managerial experience, they are not only supposed to demonstrate managerial capability and courage, as I put it, capability and courage. They are also having to deploy different management styles in different situations. And how will they know about it when they have never done it themselves before? What is important for them to keep in mind is the key to everything at this point of time is about trust and respect. They no longer need to be liked by their people or their peers, which was probably the case when they were individual contributors. They need to be respected. And there's a difference between being liked and being respected. And this is something that is very difficult for first-time managers to let go of, not being pulled into the trap of wanting to be liked. Keeping this in mind, what we have done is based on our research, we have crafted out the Aon's first-time manager model. There are 5 pillars to this model. It starts with the core pillar of ensuring that first-time managers understand the importance of a growth mindset, where they have to ensure that they are constantly trying to learn new things, being open about learning and allowing others to learn along with them, being agile, changing their styles depending on situation, and also keeping an eye on being curious, trying out the new thing which was not done before. To support this particular pillar, they definitely need to understand how do they lead this change. And it has to be done with humility and empowerment. They need not be the expert in everything, which they used to think they are when they were individual contributors. They need to get the right person to deliver the right job. They need to have the motivation of their team to deliver on the purpose and the promise. So leading change with humility becomes very important. Driving success, of course, this is a no-brainer. From a business point of view, they have to deliver on the KPIs and the accountabilities that they sign up for. What remains undermined is the element around building self-awareness and resilience. And they have to ensure that their teams are capable enough to sustain themselves through this. And of course, the added complexity of delivering all this in a hybrid environment where everybody is working in remote or physical setups. And toggling between them is definitely a task. So what Aon has done is crafted out what we call the manager grow model to enable these potential first-time managers to groom them up to become an accountable and credible first-time managers. Our approach to this is definitely a simulation approach. What better than a work simulation for an individual to get a glimpse of what their new role is going to be like. So we start off with a push for the managers where we simulate a managerial environment for these individual contributors who are the potential first-time managers. Following through on that, what we have done is we have built in modules of self-awareness, self-care, and ensured that there is a progressive development journey for this potential manager as they go through it. It has to be a learning and training journey, and it has to be sustained over a period of time. After all, we don't want the managers to get the intervention, get the understanding of what is needed to be done, and forget about it. They need to apply it and try it out as they go along. So to enable this process, what you have in front of you is a typical timeline of the manager grow model. Of course, these potential first-time managers get an invitation to join this particular program. They go through the entire experience through various challenges. They get a chance to self-reflect through personality, psychometric assessments, where they are shown the mirror about what are their styles, what are their reputations, what are their strengths, what are their derailers. Once they have gone through the same, then that starts a 7-week journey when they go through a learning simulation every week. What is interesting about this entire journey is the instantaneous insights that they get. We are not leaving it up to the end of the 7 weeks to give them feedback. We are going to give them feedback instantaneously as soon as they go through the simulation and give their response. And finally, we have a more confident individual who is ready to take up the first-time manager role. Like I mentioned, the importance of this participant experience is always getting that feedback and feeling that they are empowered around making their decisions. We typically follow this up with feedbacks for them and ensure that at any point of time, they are getting enough and more information to work on their development needs. What we have over here are some of the benefits and various ways in which you can apply this kind of a program for your managers to grow them effectively. It can be for hybrid models. It can be for target skill gaps that you want to fill. We have done this for organizations across Asia Pacific, and the feedback that we have constantly received is it's quite real. So managers really get the challenge feel when they go through such an exercise and they are ready for their new roles. While there are benefits of such an exercise, and a lot of organizations are trying to leverage them as they move forward, in the long term, the ROI that an organization sees is that you have a healthier workforce, you see lesser turnover, and the productivity increases for the front lines as well, because managers have empowered their teams to ensure that they are delivering on the frontline promise. Finally, overall, a huge impact on the brand value for the employers as well as the employees, because the employees feel well taken care of and prepared to take up their new roles as first-time managers. And the employers are also enhancing their brand when they are ensuring that their managers are groomed well enough to take up these roles. With this, I'm going to come to the end of our manager grow model and try to leave you with some thoughts around how to develop your managers in these times of transformation. And first-time managers should definitely be some of your core focus areas.
Thank you so very much. I think all our delegates got a lot to learn from you. So really, you can partner with Yon, helping your organizations develop your first time managers, and add so much more brand value to your organizations. Because like it said, happy employees means happy brands, and a lot many growth stories coming your way. So the importance of participation, of growing in the right way for your managers and making sure that you guide them all through and through. And that's exactly how Aon can help you in in this absolutely fantastic transformation. So thank you so very much, Ms. Bandyopadhyay, for joining us and for sharing with us all that you and your team can do to help organizations create better managers. All those of our delegates who'd like to connect with the team, they're more than welcome to do so. I'm sure Aon's representatives will be more than happy to connect with you and talk business. For now, we're all set to bring to you a spotlight address on the hybrid workforce agenda. A very warm welcome to Goku Muthiswamy, Head of People Asia Pacific Visa.
Learning leader today isn't easy because building skills can be really hard. That's why we built the LinkedIn Learning Hub to help you future-proof your people and your business. By using AI, the skills of millions of professionals, companies, and jobs posted on LinkedIn become insights. Then it uses those insights to serve content from all your sources, content that matches your employees' roles and aspirations. Through the LinkedIn Learning Hub, your employees can also connect with a community of experts they trust, and the more questions they ask, the better the answers get. Finally, you can use the Learning Hub to understand how your employees are learning, so you can identify the skills they're developing and the ones they'll need for tomorrow. All of this makes the LinkedIn Learning Hub more than just a learning platform. It's a new way